the main assumptions of mainstream economics is that the economy consists of profit maximizing producers and utility maximizing consumers, and that they're all well informed. It assumes that the production and consumption activities these people and institutions undertake are independent of the environment, as Steve has suggested, and that also means independent of the laws of and that they believe that the laws of thermodynamics are irrelevant to understanding those processes. They assume that consumption is always good, it's a source of utility, and that work is always bad, a source of disutility, and that's why people have to be paid to do it. I think that's a bizarre way to think of work, but that's how it's conceived of in mainstream economics. Wants are insatiable, although they recognize that an individual want can be satiated, but not all wants, which entails an interesting.
What does that mean?
That an individual is satiated, say, with ice cream. You have that law of diminishing marginal utility, meaning that the first ice cream on a hot day is really nice, the second one's not bad, the third one you're beginning to feel, nah, I don't think I want it, and the fourth one is awful because you're full up with ice cream. So your desire for ice cream in that specific situation is quite satiated.
Yeah.
But that doesn't get extended to all wants. All wants are considered insatiable, means they can never be fully satisfied, that people are always frustrated and limited by what they can accomplish by their income.
Yeah.
This is the view of humans that is in the mainstream. That's how that's how they are assumed to be. They assume that people have preferences, which means they can put things in order of preference. And a lot of the theory of demand is based upon these preference orderings, which they assume are stable over time. It comes back a little bit to Steve's comments about change and dynamics. In economics, mainstream economics preferences are assumed not to change over time. Economists don't ask how their preferences are generated, so there's no explanation of the socialization process. There's really no distinction between children and adults. It's as if everybody is born as an adult with a stable set of preferences. It's a very strange conception of what a human being is. At the more macro level, growth is good. Economic growth is good, it delivers good things, and if there are bad things associated with it, the solution is more growth. That's generally the way it's seen. It's assumed that prices convey valid information, the markets work generally, and as Steve says, that analysis is generally based upon an equilibrium approach to economics. Where there are problems, they assume they can generally be fixed by fixing prices. So pollution can be dealt with by pricing it, for example. And if that's not good enough, then it's a property question. It's because people don't own the biosphere, they don't own the atmosphere. If you just give the ownership to somebody, then the problem would be solved. They assume the economy, when there's any kind of uncertainty, it's usually analyzed in terms of risk, which means knowing the possible outcomes and knowing the probabilities of them. That makes the mathematics much easier. But in reality, uncertainty prevails. We may know the possible outcomes, but have very little idea of the probabilities of each one. And we may not even know the outcomes. We may be ignorant. And these are all dimensions that are important that we have to deal with, but mainstream economics abstracts from the latter and only deals mostly with risk. And finally, I just want to say this one, because I think it's very important for a political group. Mainstream economics assumes that government is an independent actor, that it sits outside the economy and creates the policies and establishes the laws that the economy then follows. That's the most unreasonable, non-empirical description of any economy that we're aware of in the modern world, where the economic institutions and political power are intimately interrelated. And it goes back a little bit to that introductory comment. I think that people don't trust, have lost confidence in democracy because they feel powerless. Well, they've got it right. They should feel powerless. They are. I mean, the power is nowhere near equally distributed. So, I mean, I think all of these assumptions pervade the mainstream view. Now, there will be exceptions, but that's, I think, a fairly good account.